Ready?
Chips.
Let's get the crumbs off your shoe. Okay, hello everyone. Carson and I are recording this from our house in Naples. We are on our patio and we've been here for like a week now. So we are going to record a video on the things that we've learned during our first month of traveling out of one backpack through Europe. Right?
Yes.
So we have a list here that we're gonna go through. It's a little noisy because of all the street noise, but it's gonna rain in a little bit, so we wanted to film outside before thunderstorms. Okay, so the first thing that we have learned while traveling is about budgeting. So we learned that it's better to focus on saving money on your hotels and your transportation fees rather than on activities and food. During our little budgeting sessions we had, we realized that we were spending the most money on hotels and transportation. If you're gonna cut costs somewhere, you should focus on those areas rather than cutting out your activities that you want to do while you're in the different places. Anything you want to add?
If you spend like $20 less on a hotel or like $50 less on a train, and that's like $20 or $10 a day that you can spend eating out and doing stuff, and it won't even affect the price. So why limit your days when you could just do the same thing at the same cost but have more fun actually spending money doing enjoyable things than where you sleep.
The next one is more about culture. So Europe uses a 24-hour clock, and we've already had one instance where I didn't reference a 24-hour clock and I meant 7 p.m. when I just said 7, and there is a mix-up between whether it was 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. So a good bet is to just always refer to time in the 24-hour clock so that you're not causing confusion with people here when you're making reservations and stuff like that. The next one is about traveling long term. So like I said, Kristen and I are like 5 weeks now, slightly over 5 weeks into our travels. So if you are traveling long term, you should definitely schedule in some rest days or allot for some time in the different cities you're going where you're not jam-packing everything. Traveling is really exhausting. It puts a lot of stress on your body and on your bags. So you definitely want to make sure that you have enough time in each location resting, and once you get to a city, you're not just going through a bunch of activities and then leaving. You're taking time to kind of have some rest days, chill in a park, that sort of thing.
I agree. Sometimes Hannah likes to be a tourist every day, the entire time we're in a city, and it's not that fun when you do it for 3 weeks straight.
Yeah, so if you're gonna travel long term, make sure that you are taking enough rests for your body. The next one is about checking train tickets, but I don't think we should say that one.
Why?
Okay. The next one is just a fun little fact that we've realized since we've been here, and it's that the rail system in Europe is really great and it gets you where you want to go, and the trains are coming very frequently. The little thing we've realized though is that people don't tend to check your train tickets. That's not to say you shouldn't buy train tickets, you definitely should, but people just don't tend to check your tickets for some reason here. So I say we've gotten our tickets checked like 50% of the time, maybe. What would you think, 50?
Yeah.
So it definitely hurts a little bit when you've bought the train ticket and no one checks your ticket, especially if it's cost you like $50. But you should definitely do the right thing and buy a ticket. Just a little tidbit for you there. Next about the trains is always double check your train times. Like I said, sometimes the tickets, the time is in the 24-hour clock, so especially when it's in a language you don't understand, it might be hard to recognize the time right away. Always translate and always double check your train times. We had a situation where we missed our train. It was the very first train we were catching in Amsterdam. I'll link that video in the description for you to go watch. That was really disappointing. So always double and triple check your just departure times in general, and maybe get someone else to check it, because Carson always double checks ours now, so we make sure we're not missing it.
Yeah, make sure you have looked at the ticket and you know exactly what time it is, because I didn't double check Hannah, and thus we missed it because she thought it was at the wrong time. So everyone should have looked at the ticket, we learned.
Yeah. And the next tip about trains is that if you miss your train or if your train is delayed, you can just get on the next train. So I know specifically for the Italian rail tickets, the tickets are valid for 4 hours after the departure time. So you're just free to get on whatever train you want. With the rest of Europe, you technically aren't allowed to get on if it's your fault. If you miss the train, you're supposed to buy a new ticket. But if you miss the train due to a rail delay or something that was out of your control, then you just get on the next train and they will scan your previous ticket and it will just work. People just tend to know that trains get delayed. For example, when we were leaving Prague, the trains were all delayed, so right at the start, as soon as we got to the Prague train station, we had already missed our connection, we hadn't even left yet, and everyone just had kind of a mutual understanding that the trains were delayed that day and everyone was getting on different trains. So if you miss your train because your train was delayed or something like that, don't worry about buying a new ticket, just get on the next train. You can ask the ticket agent when the next train to your destination is coming, and they will print you out a little piece of paper if you need it with all the next connections you need to get on to get to where you're going.
Yeah, nobody cares what trains you're on, really. All your tickets seem to work on every train as long as you're going the right direction. So you really don't have to worry about it, we've learned.
Oh, this was another big one that we didn't realize until we got to Florence or Naples. Check your hotel location check your hotel location in reference to the transportation you're taking, so the train station or the airport. There's a lot of times where we'd book the cheapest hotel, obviously, because we are on a budget, and it was like miles and miles away from where the train station was. So if you're still booking your hotels and you have your transit booked, definitely make sure that you're looking at the location of the hotel and figuring out how you're going to get there. There's a lot of days where we were on the train figuring out what subway we had to take, or lime scootering, or doing the 20-minute walk to get to the hotel. So that's just definitely something to keep in mind when you're booking your hotels.
And typically you're arriving in the giant train station or the airport, so it's pretty easy to know where you're going to arrive ahead of time.
Another thing about the trains that we've realized is that if you have the choice between getting on the train or not getting on the train, if you are uncertain about where that train is going, or if you're uncertain about whether that's the right train, never get on the train.
If you're in doubt, like say the train pulls up, which is exactly what happened to us. Train pulls up and you're not sure if it's the one you need to get on or not, like spend the time outside the train to figure out if it's the right one. And if you know it's 100% the right one, get on it. But if you're unsure and you have to guess, don't get on it. Like if you're 50-50 or just unsure in any way, lean to the side of not getting on the train and don't get on, because you can always take the next one going to the same place. But if you take the wrong one and you go to the wrong place like we did, then you're really screwed and you got to come back. And it just, the risk is so much lower for missing your train at the stop than getting on the wrong train. So when in doubt, get off the train.
Yeah, the same goes for getting off the train if you're already on it. If you're not sure if this is your stop, or if you're not sure you're on the right train, get off the train. You definitely don't want to be taking it for an hour in the wrong direction. So if you're at a stop and you're unsure, get off the train and just get on the next one. Like we said, you can just get on the next train. You don't need to buy a new ticket. No one cares.
Yeah.
Just if you're in doubt, get off. Don't be on the train. Just be on the platform.
Yeah, you'd be delayed like 20 minutes. But if you take the wrong one, and some trains will go like 3 hours without stopping, and then you're really not going to have a good day.
Yeah. Oh, here's one we just realized since we got in Naples. Always book things directly with the carrier. We've been using the Rail Europe app to book our trains, and same we use direct ferries to book a ferry ride, and they upcharge you a little bit, and it's like for no service. Like they don't provide you anything for upcharging you. Yeah, always book directly with a carrier if you can. Don't go through the third party. They will upcharge you a little bit, and they will provide you no service. It's not like you're getting extra special customer service because you're booking through a third party. The same goes for booking it at the terminal versus online. We found, especially in Italy, not a lot of people use the internet apparently. So booking things online has been more difficult than just showing up to either the train station or to the ferry terminal and booking directly there with the carrier, paying by cash or card just right there. That's what the majority of people we've realized have been doing. So kind of avoid the internet if you can and book directly with the carrier at the terminal. You'll save money and it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, except for on trains. Trains you have to book early to save money.
Trains, tickets, you definitely want to try to book like at least a week in advance. The prices do increase the closer you get to the day. So you definitely want to book in advance. Still try to book with a carrier if you can instead of a third party, but you definitely want to book those in advance. You don't want to book those on the day. For example, our train ticket from Amsterdam to Berlin, we booked like 3 weeks in advance, and it was like $50 each. Was it $50 each or $50 for the both of us?
It was really cheap. Like
yeah, it might have been $50 for the two of
total.
us. Yeah. Anyways, it was very cheap for the both of us, and we booked it on the day because we ended up missing that train, and it was $150 each. So it definitely goes up, especially same days. So make sure you are booking in advance. Okay, this was a tip that Carson found, is that you can download languages and maps on Google Maps and Google Translate. And that's super helpful, especially if you're like us. We don't have plans for our phones, we don't have data. We rely solely on Wi-Fi. So if you download the Google Map, it works just like it does online. You can search locations and that kind of thing. It tracks where you're going and it shows you exactly where you are in the city. So that was super helpful. And then same with the languages, you can always Google Translate if you download, say, Italian and English sort of thing. So,
Yeah, and you can, once you have them downloaded, like the languages, you can scan things with your camera and it'll translate them like in real time, which is super helpful, so you don't have to type it all in. And since you have GPS on your phone, like your location still appears on the map. So you basically just have full Google Maps without internet, which is like obviously very helpful.
Yeah, super helpful. But this is just a fun little one. Make sure you do your laundry well and not just quickly, especially if you're traveling long term. We got to Prague and it was like after the second week of our trip, and we really need to do laundry, so we did laundry and we couldn't translate the machines. We didn't really know what we were doing, and we just kind of hung it up to dry in the apartment, and it took like 3 days to dry. It was soaked when we put it on our bag still, and the clothes smelled bad. We both decided that we just would have rather not done laundry at all and just waited till we got to Naples. So I would definitely spend the extra dollar or take the extra minute to do your laundry well, rather than just trying to rush through it. And if it's a choice between not doing laundry or doing laundry poorly, I would just not do laundry. And another one we just thought about in Naples, because it started raining and it hadn't rained previously, is that you should take some time waterproofing your packs, because when it rains, it really rains, and you definitely don't want to get soaked, especially if you're traveling in one backpack like we are. You don't want all of your stuff to be soaked, especially your electronics. So yeah, take some time to waterproof your backpacks. I know you might not think about it in the time, but when it rains, it'll really suck, and you'll be thankful that you took the time to waterproof it.
Also, you don't have to spend a bunch of time waterproofing your bag. Like, you can throw a single garbage bag in it, and if it rains, you can just put all your stuff in a garbage bag or cover your backpack with a garbage bag, and you're done. So it's not like you have to spend a big effort. Just put a garbage bag in your bag.
That is all of our tips from what we've learned in our first month of traveling. We have 2 to 3 maybe months left. We don't have a return ticket booked yet, so we don't know. We have at least 2 months left of traveling, so I'm sure we'll have more tips as things progress, but that's what we've learned so far. We're very happy we get to share them with you, and we're having a lot of fun, so hopefully you are staying tuned and watching our vlogs, because we're having a lot of fun.
Life is good.
Yeah.